ready to get on the air. Call 216-220-0966. Now, let's get back to the LeBron James of barbecue talk. Greg Rempe.
I don't know what's going on. I gotta be honest. Hey, let's just see what's happening over here. You there, Matt?
Absolutely, Greg.
Sweet Mother Mary. Let me tell you something, Matt. Uh-oh. Hold on, I'm off. What the hell? First hour wrap-up, right? Right. Bear with me. You're going to hear some behind-the-scenes stuff you shouldn't be privy to. What do I got to do here? What do I got to do? Read. We're reading after... No. Yeah. Read after you. Right? Need that. And I need that. After that. All right. Wow. This hasn't been going very well, I got to be honest. You know, let me tell you something, Matt. When you go through the painstaking processes that I go through to make sure that this sound and show goes without fail, and you test almost each and every guest and it works, how's one to know that things are going to go incredibly bad and tank like the Hindenburg? I don't know.
Well, are you DVRing any sports tonight before I throw out a little spoiler that should make your night seem about equatable to somebody else's?
No, I'm not watching any sports. I know the Cavs are playing the Heat, and when I had left somewhere at the end of the first quarter, they were up by plenty, but that's all the sports that I watch, the Cavs.
Well, something happened in the third quarter for the first time in well over some 1,000 games.
All right.
To one of your favorite players there.
Go ahead.
LeBron James was ejected.
What? Really?
Yep.
Why?
LeBron James was ejected for a. I guess I got SportsCenter on the side of my peripheral here, so I can keep up on the playoff standings for the college football, for a double technical for arguing with the ref.
Oh dear. Well, that must mean that they're losing then too. Why would he be arguing with the ref otherwise? Wow. All right, Matt. Look, we are incredibly out of time, of course, because your segment gets jammed up because I have technical issues. So let's do this. Pardon me. Let me catch up a little bit, and then I will. Well, let's see. Yeah. Okay. Let me catch up. I'll come back. We'll go into the second hour, and then instead of doing my normal stuff that I do second hour, we'll do some beer stuff, and then we'll kind of recapture the show after that. Is that all right with you? Is that amenable?
That sounds fine.
All right. So I gotta do this read real quick. Is that right? What is this? No, that's not right. Man, what a joke. All right. Stand by, Matt. Appreciate you hanging out. This is Matt Bougher. Well, we were just talking about it a couple seconds ago with Max Good, the Pit Barrel. We were talking about the Pit Barrel Junior, of course. But the Pit Barrel is also available for sale this year. It is something that makes cooking simple and fun. It might be the most unique, versatile, and easy-to-use cooker on the market today. Imagine a single cooker that will turn out great traditional barbecue meats like brisket, pork shoulder. Also, they ramp up in temperature to do hot dogs and chicken pieces and so forth. Versatility, all thanks to the revolutionary design that goes beyond traditional convection. Their hook and hang method places the food right in the center of the heat, so it's acting like a stationary rotisserie. Great results each and every time. Not only is the Pit Barrel a fabulous cooking vessel, it's aesthetically sexy as well. And it's built to withstand the heat. Thanks to its porcelain enamel finish, the Pit Barrel is able to withstand any type of weather. Extremely portable. It fits in the back of most trucks, vans, and SUVs. It's ready to go wherever you are. Of course, as Max said, we all love the accessories, and the Pit Barrel doesn't disappoint here either. Now there's actually too many for me to just throw out here during this read, so go to the website and check them all out. And for the best and most attractive part of this, $299, Fully assembled, ready to cook on, ships to your door for free. Everything they sell ships free to the lower 48, by the way. Head on over to pitbarrelcooker.com, see what everybody's talking about, and check out their full line of short how-to videos. Call 502-228-1222. That's 502-228-1222 if you have any questions. Yes, they will actually talk to you, and there's a very good chance that it's going to be Noah Glanville on the other end, by the way. All right, we will reload here. Get a little, very little, talk with Matt, and then we'll carry him over to the top of the second hour as we are figuring out what in the hay just went on. Well, we'll figure it out together. It's me and you here on the BBQ Central Show. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Ready to get on the air? Call 216-220-0966. Now, let's get back to the LeBron James of barbecue talk. Greg Rempe.
Well, according to Matt, LeBron James is getting tossed out of the game here. Maybe he knew something was awry. He was pissed that I was going to have technical issues. He took it out on the ref. It's a likely story, by the way. Oh, come on. This is, God, so annoying. Where am I at now? First, okay. See, I could play the same thing like 3 different times, Matt. All right, Matt, we got about 3 minutes. Do we even want to attempt anything at this point, or we'll just press through and start right at the top?
Let's, why don't we crush the ice beer thing real quick for you?
What is ice beer?
Ice beer is, as defined on the internet, when I had to go up and look and see what they specifically said, it's a pale lager, which is a cold brewed beer. And what they're doing is, if you've ever taken a crappy American beer and thrown it into the freezer to get it really cold, and then when you poured it out, there was ice on the top.
Right.
So that's exactly what they're doing, is they're freezing the beer and then they're scraping some of the ice off. So to increase the alcohol content without adding ingredients, which is the normal way to do it, would be to increase the sugar available for the yeast.
Mm-hmm.
To increase the alcohol, they're basically just taking a American-style beer and partially freezing it and scraping that ice off, which leaves behind a higher alcohol content beer.
And then putting it in a can and it melts, and you have the higher alcohol content beer.
Yep, they scrape off, they scrape off a portion of the ice, and you're left behind with a higher alcohol content beer.
Must be like a pool of beer to do that, to make sense. It's got to be huge.
Yeah, they could do it in their cold fermenters, because when they cold ferment, they could actually freeze it down to the point where you start getting ice, and then just go in there with a shovel. I mean, I'm sure they have a scientific way to do it.
Yeah.
But it would you could replicate the same thing, put a beer in your freezer, let it get ice cold, dump it in a glass, and scrape off some of that ice on the top, because the ice on the top's not going to have any alcohol in it.
Wow. That's weird. All right, so when we come back, I'm actually going to ask you a follow-up question to ice beer, but let's play nice with the clock here so I don't screw myself. Thank you for that explanation, by the way, Matt. That was scraping ice off beer to have higher alcohol content beer. You know, everybody that listens to the show is going to start freezing all of their beer in hopes that they get more alcohol. That's not going to happen, though, right?
I'm not responsible for any side effects of that process.
All right, that's fine. Matt Bougher joining me, the BBQ Central Show beer expert. And now we are wrapping up the first hour. I had to reboot everything. I have Matt on sound. His picture is up. We do have video. We are back to the Facebooks. Still streaming live to the other situation. What is that other situation? Tune in. I know Simple Radio, that John Dawson from the Hinterlands uses. So we're back better than ever. So stick around for the second hour, and we'll be right back.
Wine Library TV, a.k.a. WLTV, and this is BBQ Central.
Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
Boing.
We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me!
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle. Charbono! It's all about the charbono, dude.
Succulent fish. What?
He ate sushi or wiener.
Now listen, Lavernius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
All right, just like that, we are into the second hour. Welcome aboard. You have found the BBQ Central Show, however tiring it might have been for you. I understand. But we've all made it back here for the second hour, so hey. Matt Bougher is joining me here for the second hour. What up, Matt?
How you doing?
Great. All right. Well, we discussed ice beer quickly, I might add. Do you? I hate to ask you an unsolicited question here, but when you talk about ice beer, that also brings to mind, or a recollection of mine back in college, Bud Dry. What the hell was that?
Bud Dry, believe it or not, was one of my favorite beers.
Agreed.
That has it disappeared off the market, and I have flown the questionnaire in the Southeast as far as the Anheuser-Busch Regional Distribution Center to find it, and it's still made in the United States in some very, very small regions.
Any reason why and for your speculation only, any reason why they're very guarded like that in the regions?
It's the only places that it actually sells the market share to what they need to do to produce it.
Aha. So you got to buy it in order to make it. Makes sense to me, I guess.
Yep, absolutely. Why ask why?
That's
Drink
right.
Bud Dry.
Yeah, I know. And I agree. It was like my favorite beer in college, but nevertheless. One of the things that I wanted to talk about, and I'm debating, well, we have two things, but I had talked with Sam, the cooking guy, last week, and we were talking a little bit about beers, and he was talking about Bloody Marys. I have a well-documented disdain for Bloody Marys because of all the crap that goes around them. Not necessarily for the Bloody Mary itself, if it's the drink, although I still don't like it. But then you get to throwing all the other stuff in it. It makes it very weird for me. The other thing that I've been seeing, it's not a Bloody Mary, but it's called I believe, Michelada, and I know you're kind of an expert on these as well. So what can you tell me about these, how you do them, what's the right way to do them, the beers you need to have with them, all that stuff?
As far as I was told, it was Michelada.
Michelada. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm not going to try to get into that. I'll catch all kinds of crap from all my Latin friends down here if I start trying to speak any sort of resemblance to Spanish. What it basically is, like you said, like a Bloody Mary, but with beer. And no, it's not a Clamato. It's got no tomato juice or anything in it. It's from Latin South America, and it's typically made with a Corona-style light lager beer, and then the top of the glass is rimmed like you would rim a margarita. And I wanted to see what the thrill was with this, so I reached out, and I thought it was a great marriage between some of our barbecue brothers and the different kinds of beers. And Red Cypress Craft Brewery actually currently has a margarita-style salted lime wheat ale that I was able to go over there with Butcher's Barbecue smoked chipotle seasoning. Yep. And what we did was I sent you the pictures where I crushed limes and mixed them with some simple organic sugar, rimmed the glasses, and then rolled the glass lids into the barbecue rub. And that gives you, just like a margarita or Bloody Marys that you're doing that way, that gives you a top crust that as you're drinking it, you're getting that flavor profile. And the smoked chipotle with the salt really cut through the wheat ale and the salted lime, which basically was a margarita-inspired beer.
Yeah.
And it took a beer that I really wasn't the giantest fan of and made it a very enjoyable drink, really refreshing, really light, and actually made it great. We also did another one with their wild cherry seasoning from Butcher's Barbecue with a Pilsner. That one kind of overpowered the beer. So I think if you're going to try this, you've got to be careful with your pairings. If you do a light beer, don't go over top on the seasonings. Just keep it basic. But if you're going to do something that's a heavier style, you can absolutely do it. If you've got a stout like a Guinness, I could definitely see rimming the glass with a little bit of salted caramel or a salted chocolate and give yourself a nice holiday drink there. And just you could step up your game when you have a party and not just serve beer out of a cooler. You can actually get some glasses out there and give your guests a chance to expand their horizons a little bit.
A little bit of a specialty beer. I mean, we're very much entrenched into the, it seems, old world or standard style cocktails, a lot of the smoked old fashions, the, what's the other one I'm thinking of that uses, the Manhattans, of course. It seems like a lot of the old standards have come back around full circle now, so why not expand a little bit on the beer, right?
I see, and actually, I could even see using this with. I hate to even bring up this horrible train wreck of a beer, but Bud Light Lime would probably make a good Michelada if you did some sort of salted barbecue rub with a good spice to it. I really heavy coated the rims of the glasses, just because if I'm going to test it, I want it. Going forward, I'd only do half the glass rim with it because it kind of, the spice does build up on you and it does kind of overpower at a certain point. But it was very enjoyable. Everybody that had one, we did a little tasting there at Red Cypress, which is great. Anybody who doesn't have a local brewery, you need to find your local brewery and go to it, and they'll be able to help you expand your beer culture.
If you want a city with a local brewery and you don't have one, you need to move to Cleveland because there's at least 3 opening every week. It is absolutely insane out here, the microbrew scene. So the other item, Matt, and we have about 3.5 minutes, is this Pico homebrew machine. Is it unfair for me to label it a Keurig of beer?
That is exactly how I would label it.
Really?
It is a...
But can it be that easy? Like the Keurig is, you put water in it, you put it in a cup, and then 2 minutes later, you have a cup of coffee.
Okay, so you put water in, you put in a tray, and 2 hours of brewing later, you have a transferred ready for fermentation, which takes 7 to 10 days to ferment.
Yeah.
And then you could either transfer it to one of their mini kegs or transfer it to a mini keg and bottle it. But within 7 to 10 days, you have a ready recipe beer that comes from one of the many craft breweries around the country or comes out of their test kitchen, just like Keurig went to McDonald's and got a McDonald's dark coffee recipe. And they did the same with some breweries, but Keurig also has their own line of coffees, which Pico also sells their own brews.
Do you have an idea on cost for these?
I do, and I ran some numbers for you. The Pico C, which is their newest line, which is their smaller one, brews 5 liters at a time. It runs you $550 to put that device on your counter.
Wow, and it probably takes up a decent amount of space, I would imagine.
It's the size of a large microwave.
All right. Well, was it something that you would put on your countertop if I was able to hornswoggle one for you? Was that something you would want, or are you like, I'm pretty sacred with my countertop space, so there has to be a lot of ROI for me to give up that real estate?
I have my garage was converted because I was in a smaller house and there was no way I was putting a car in it anyway. And I do have a large countertop, and they're dedicated to barbecue and beer real estate.
Yeah.
I absolutely would find a way to give this that space, but the price point for me with the return on investment, just so you know, it's $550. You're getting 5 liters of beer, which it comes out to about 6 pints for $25 per refill cartridge.
Whoa.
You're looking at $4 and something a beer. It's great talking point. Awesome for parties. Hey, check this out. I just brewed this. There's a new batch in it. But if you are really dedicated to doing home brewing and you just wanted to step up your game and actually do it the normal way, you go to your local home brewing store, which is they're expanding just like the breweries. For about $130, you can pick up a whole kit that'll do a 5-gallon batch of beer, which will give you, 35 beers, and the refills on that is $40 per kit. So you're looking at $1 a beer. And just to give you a perfect comparison, if you go to ABC or Total Wine and More or any supermarket, $10 for a 6-pack, which is actually 4.5 pints. You're looking at $2 something a pint from the grocery store. You're looking at $4 and you're brewing it yourself. Is it super cool if you're having a party? Yes. Is it a great gift for the person that loves beer that you have no clue what to buy them and you were looking to drop?
And you must really
$600?
like for $600. Agreed.
So, I mean, if it's the perfect gift for somebody like that and they're going to love it, is it the right purchase if you're looking to brew beer at your house in a cost-effective way? Absolutely not.
Yeah, because if you really like it, there's a really good chance for 16 hour a pint, for 5 pints, you're going to kill that thing in one day or one sitting.
Absolutely.
For that matter. I mean, one football game, that thing's done.
Absolutely. I mean, if you had a party, you could give 5 of your friends and yourself a beer, and that's it, and you're out.
Oh, wow. All that, and then 7 to 10 days to get it there to boot, which, isn't terrible, but as you said, there better be a lot of quality for that quantity, right?
Well, they do advertise that they got a lot of proprietary brews from around the country that I wouldn't be able to get my hands on locally. So that's a big selling point for them. And I have reached out to them, and you said you're going to reach out to them too. And I really want to hear their side of the story on the return on investment here.
All right. Matt Bougher can be found here on the show once a month. He is the BBQ Central Show beer expert. He got shanghaied by the technicality bird here. I apologize for that. But appreciate you kind of sticking through here as we got through the top of the hour and talked about the Pico and, of course, the Michelada. That is, by the way, incredibly well-executed vernacular on my part. So if anybody gives you crap about that, you send it my way, Matt. But that is exactly how you should say it. I know my A-E-I-O-U in Spanish. So, Matt, I appreciate the time, my friend, and we will talk to you again next month.
See you next month, Greg.
All right, there he is, Matt Bougher. Beer expert and a man who obviously has mega patience because, wow, that was unfortunately kind of crappy of me to do to him, but trying to get back on track and all that other stuff, that just doesn't work great all the time. But we're muddling through, just like Dan Uladol muddled through the original Chops Power Injector system, and now he's killing it. Looking here real quick. The NBBQA has offered to give Chops Power Injector the prize for the best barbecue tool now 3 years in a row. The #1 seller is the half-gallon Chops Power Injector system, designed for competition or to pump up the backyard warrior. Easy to use. Clean it, fill it, pump it, and away you go if you have just one brisket or pork shoulder to do. You don't have to fill it all the way up. No. Just put in what you need. It uses it all. It comes with a 14-gauge needle, 2 replacement plastic needle adapters, 3 plug screws, a needle protector. It's $100. You pay shipping on top of that. Then you have the 1-gallon Chops Power Injector system, designed for catering and bigger jobs. It holds double the amount of the injection of the half-gallon. Some use it in the competitions like Memphis in May or the MBN-style competitions where you're going to do a whole hog. Or maybe you're cooking 10 shoulders to get a perfect one. This one comes with the same stuff as the half-gallon. You pay $120 plus you pay shipping on top of that. Then, of course, the Chops Full Power Injector system. It's electric, and it is the commercial and competition Big Daddy. Not a holding tank this time, but a 3.5-foot pickup tube that you can put in any size container, from a few ounces to a 55-gallon drum. It was designed for Chef Rob at the Best Barbecue Restaurant in Kansas City, and he has said time and time again that with the Chops Full Power Injector system, his briskets are better than ever. This one comes with a whole mess of stuff like the other two as well. It's $325 plus you pay shipping. Number of the top pitmasters in the world use this CPI every day to make their barbecue better than the rest. We live in a foodie world that requires flavor in every bite. This is how you do it. Do it fast. It's not just for meat either. Hey, alcoholics, how about alcohol-infused watermelon? You can do it with the Jobs Power Injector system. Just clean it first. Every injector hand-assembled in Kansas City, Missouri, USA. Visit the website, barbecuekansascity.com. That's BARBEQUE, barbecuekansascity.com for more information or to pick up yours today. You will wonder how you possibly ever got along with one single injector. I don't know how you did it. All right. Oh, by the way, Cleveland Cavaliers won by 11. And LeBron gets kicked out. Suck that. By the way, 10-game win streak. Mark it. Maybe 9. I think it might be 10. The Embedded Show's Correspondents segment coming up. Steve Ray, Doug Scheiding, David Huff. Stick around. We'll be right back.
The only show giving you a monthly visit from a doctor of barbecue. A man actually named Meathead. The author of a barbecue Bible. Bloggers, reviewers, competitors, and manufacturers by the dozens. It's the BBQ Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. This portion of the show is brought to you by cookinpellets.com, your number one source for quality wood pellets. For all of your pellet-driven cookers, visit cookinpellets.com for more information or to purchase. You can also visit amazon.com to purchase as well. I think Doug's using the wrong login. That's all right. He'll be there in a second. Everybody else can just hang out for a hot minute. Everybody left. What the hell? Steve was there. Dave's there. Okay. There we go. One of the more popular segments of all time recently has been this thing called the Embedded Correspondents segment. And joining me right now is David Huff and Steve Ray. Soon to be in, Doug Scheiding here in just a matter of seconds. Gentlemen, appreciate you joining me here. I believe we have Doug as well. So here's a segment that I masterminded all by myself. And I said, let's get some dudes that think they know about talking about barbecue and then mix them in with a guy who fancies himself to be a high-level moderator, such as myself. And we've made whatever we've made out of it, and luckily it's been a success. We give our hot takes, and then we all react to them. And I'm going to start with the gentleman from Ooltewah, Tennessee, Steve Ray, the pitmaster of Owl's Nest Barbecue. Talk to me about the hot take of the month, Steve. Where are you at?
Good evening, gentlemen.
Hello.
It'll be one of the most interesting hours of radio I've ever heard.
I don't know if you would call it interesting, but it was certainly terrible. Yes, I agree.
Hey, back at the World Food Championships, I was lucky enough to land on the Table of Death.
Wow! Congratulations!
It was fantastic. Table number 724. Now, here is the, for those listening and who may not have competed a lot, and those who have competed a lot. Here is how you establish the Table of Death. The Table of Death. When the person, like in chicken, we'll pretend like it's chicken. My chicken landed on the Table of Death. The number one chicken at our table, ranked number one, was overall came in 46th place. The number one ranked chicken. The number two ranked chicken at our table came in 60th place. And the number three ranked chicken came in 75th place.
Wow.
Now, do you know who belonged to the number three ranked chicken on that table?
Do we have breaking news?
A little team called Getting Basted.
Oh.
Now, What is so ironic about that? Getting Basted won the contest. One number one and 2 second places in the other 3 proteins. But for some reason, table 724 said that their chicken was only worth place number 75. Now, fellows, I ask you, what is the chances of the team that wins the contest having 2 second places and a first place to win has 75th place chicken according to 6 people?
Doug?
How in the world, after 48 years, after sending man to the moon and returning him back safely, can we still have a table of death? I put that to this distinguished panel.
Doug, I'm interested to hear your take on this because I know you do cook a little KCBS style, but you are also a wide sweeping member of the Texas sanctioning bodies, a lot of IBCA, obviously. I'm not sure exactly what other sanctioning bodies are out there, but IBCA known for the man on the street judging, so I'm interested to get your take here.
Yeah, it's that is pretty remarkable in terms of getting 75th in chicken. So yeah, we don't have the tables of death, to that extreme from the standpoint since it's all Survivor and in IBCA. So yeah, that's pretty unbelievable.
Is that something that, hearing that story, does that then discourage you from getting to a KCBS contest, or is that just part and parcel? You know about it, you've heard about it from a lot of these other people. And do you think at any point that the table of death, although firsthand account from Steve, so we're not discounting that, is a lot of grandiose, or if it happens to you, those are you hear a lot more about that than if Steve would have landed on the angel table and would have gotten all 9s and walked away with $558 million?
Well, I think the advantage in KCBS scoring, especially as it concerns IBCA, is at least you can find out if you were on the table of death. In IBCA, you have no clue because, let's say in that particular, there were 2 rounds, I think, in IBCA. I mean, if you have 100 teams, like I think there was about 100 teams. How many teams were in the KCBS, Steve?
93.
93. Okay, wow. So that would have been at least 3 rounds from an IBCA scoring. If you're not in the top 10, you don't know if you finish 11th or 93. You wouldn't know. So I would rather know that, okay, you probably cooked some good stuff and it was on the table of death, than, okay, I finished, well, I guess they call the final table, so maybe 15 and up. But, you don't know if you finished 20th or 93. That is a huge problem.
What about you, Dave?
Look, you Tennessee guys, first you try to steal our football coach, and now you're whining about the table of death. Just play better football, cook better barbecue.
Come after me, David. I'm a man.
I'm a man. You can have the mullet.
Nice.
The table of death, it is what it is. You nailed it. It's bad luck. Everybody at the World Series of Poker pays the same $10,000 entry fee, and then if you get sat at a table with 4 former world champions, your odds of winning go down. It's bad luck. I don't like it. I don't know how you avoid it. I think it's pretty clear when something like that happens. Your numbers said it all. It'd be interesting to see if the same thing happened with all the other proteins, if that table scored all of the proteins low overall.
Funny you should ask that, David.
Okay.
Funny you should ask that. We can turn quickly to pork ribs, where let's see that team. Let's see, the first person on at that table at 724, who was ranked 1 at the table, was Sweet Smoke Q, who came in a cumulative 28th. So the first person ranked number 1 was Jim Elzer, and he started. Yeah. He came in 28th. So there's your number 1 ranked team at their table in pork, coming in at 28th. It's crazy. There, on one instance, Booty Q one of the greatest cookers in this country. He came in behind me in brisket. Now, fellas, there's no way I beat him in brisket.
Why not?
I mean, there's no way. There's no way, Greg.
But there has to be a
just
way.
Can't happen.
Well, yes,
No,
but you can't.
no.
I don't think you can't just chalk it up to bad scores just because you think he's better than you.
Well, he's a lot better than us, and it's just this table is just, and the reason I bring this up is last year, or in the beginning of this year, I was at the convention and I listened to 2 hours of a meeting of people talking about this. You know, that there's no set way to train a judge, and the conversation was in depth, and it got loud at times, but it was very informational, and it seemed like, hey, we're going to leave here and we're going to get this thing fixed, and nothing gets fixed. I mean, you know, there's no baseline or anything for judges, and then now you've got a situation where it's getting to be bad blood between judges and teams.
So let's go ahead and as we do here in the BBQ Central Show, we will give our opinions. Perhaps they're to the negative, but instead of just whining and complaining like the interwebs do, we want to offer solutions as well. So, Steve, let's turn it back on your head here. How do you fix it? What is the best way to do it? Do we look at instituting a scoring system that would be like an IBCA type of a thing? Do we need to institute a completely different scoring system, which obviously would never happen? How do you fix it?
I personally think you put out an all points bulletin saying everything, we're all going to judge the same way. Either say this, everything starts at a 9 and it works its way down, or everything starts at a 6 and works its way up. Everybody do the same thing. You can teach tenderness, and you can teach appearance. You can't teach taste, and you'll never be able to do that. But you can teach the other two, just like Brett does in the steak contest. He gives them a picture. This is what it looks like. You can do that. You can find 180 boxes of chicken. You can find 180 boxes of ribs and say, this is what it looks like on appearance. And you can teach taste. You can teach how it. I read the rules. I went back and read all the judging rules. They go over that in the rules about the ribs, one bite ribs. You know, how chicken doesn't have to have skin. It doesn't have to be bite through. But it's like baseball. There's all these unwritten rules that I think you get judged by, and you shouldn't be judged by them. And I think some people think that their chicken's better than a cook's chicken, or their brother's chicken's better than a cook's chicken, and vice versa. And I think it's just all over the board. Maybe we need to go to do like IBCA and just pull them off the street and say, hey, you want to eat? You want to eat? And give a score, you know, bring them in.
David, you're a younger competition team as far as experience. Do you have a suggestion on how you would like to see the scoring system be enhanced for the better?
Yeah, you know, I've thought about this, and obviously, you know, who wins a football game, who wins a basketball game, that's not subjective. Whoever has the most points at the end wins. But you're being judged here on so many things. To Steve's point, it's hard to teach what's tender to one person or overdone to another. I think maybe a way to soften a table of death situation, and I've only had experience with, you know, about 3 or 4 KCBS contests and only judged 2, but you stay at the same table the entire time. So what about if they figured out a way between proteins for everybody to get up, shuffle around, and sit at a different table, mix it up. So if you have a table of death where everyone's scoring low, then the next protein, instead of that being the same table of death, everyone moves to a different table and sits back down, and then the tables are all different, and there wouldn't be a death table, if you will.
Doug, do you have any suggestions or no?
Yeah, let me ask a question. I thought that they, let's say, seated the judges based on, is it their experience or based on their scoring average from the previous contest?
There's a new seating procedure, but it was not used at the WFC, Doug.
Oh, I thought they were going to do it. It was more of a just potluck kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay. They used the old. I understand they used the old seating procedure. The new one was not used.
Oh, okay. And don't they average or curve the, so to try to eliminate this angel table and table of death, so that if everyone is getting on the average 7s or 8s at your table and that's the best score, don't they curve it up?
No, they just drop the lowest score.
Oh, well, I thought that's what KCBS did is, if a table, was consistently across all the meets giving much lower scores than the rest of the tables, that they actually curved or averaged it up. Why couldn't they do that?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that. I know they try to have like a head judge or a more experienced judge at every single table, but they don't do anything with the scores. The scores are the scores, to the best of my knowledge.
Oh, well, they should average it. They should curve it.
I don't know. They multiply. Each score has a multiplier. I don't know how you would curve that, though.
Aren't we starting to get into Pythagorean theorem and calculus? And there's got to maintain some type of simplicity in order to keep this moving. If you're going to start weighting and averaging and scoring up this and not that, then I think you're going to be running into issues. And you might be delaying awards even more. I think you guys have seen your share of long awards. You don't want to wait even longer for these guys to do math?
No,
of course not.
Wait any longer than we have to. Of course not. But I don't think you have to curve. I don't think you have to curve scores. I think everybody needs to get on the same page, because I really do think that there's a lot of notebooks floating around. We need to put them in the dumpster fire and have one notebook.
Well, good luck getting everybody on the same page. I think.
That's right.
You're better at curving than you are getting everyone on the same page.
All right. So Steve has landed on the table of death, and he is bitter. What did you think about the WFC otherwise?
I loved it. I'd go back tomorrow.
You would go back tomorrow.
Yeah, and hey, I'm not anti KCBS either. I'm cooking a contest
of course
this
not.
week, and I love it too. I was just ticked off, and I'd go back. I'd go back tomorrow. I thought Mike did a great job. I was incredibly floored. I could not believe what a production it was, what he pulls off. I was floored. I was absolutely floored.
All right, David, we go to you, our representative from Oklahoma. What's your hot take?
All right, I'm going to change it up a little bit here from competition barbecue. I want to talk about prime rib. It is the holiday time, Christmas. It is probably one of my favorite holiday meals, more so than turkey at Thanksgiving, etc. But a lot of people do a prime rib at Christmas time.
Yep.
Traditional cooking, high heat, or they'll put it in the oven, and there's a lot of ways to do it. But if you've never tried to reverse sear it and slow smoke it in the smoker, you have to try that. It is absolutely incredible, the results. Real quickly, what I do, obviously you get the best piece of meat, the best quality prime rib you can, whatever your budget will allow. If you can do Snake River or Creekstone, great. I get mine at Costco. I shoot for prime, try to get good marbling. Bone in versus bone out, difference of opinions there. The bone in, some people say give more flavor. I know Dr. Barbecue disagrees with that.
Meathead disagrees. Dr. Barbecue probably could care less.
Okay, gotcha. Meathead. Okay. Well, and in my opinion, if you're going to leave the bone on, cut it off and have it tied back on. So that way when you go to slice it up at the end after the cooking, it's easier to slice and you're not trying to carve it off the bone then. I like to remove the bone ahead of time, because then that's just one more side of the roast that you can get your rub on for more flavor, right? So pull it out about an hour ahead of time. Get your smoker going at about 200, 225. Go ahead and put your rub on. I just use salt, black pepper, minced garlic, and then I make a sludge out of olive oil, garlic, and fresh herbs like rosemary, thyme, and oregano, and I just slather it on the meat all over it and let it set for about an hour. Then the rest is pretty easy. Put it in the smoker, internal temperature of about 128 to 130 for medium rare. How long that takes really depends on how big the roast is going to be, but about 20 to 30 minutes per pound is probably a pretty good average to get it to that temp. Then you pull it off, and this is where it's different than where you put it in high heat first. If you cook it this way, everything cooks evenly, so the temperature of meat you want from the middle all the way to the edge is exactly the same. You don't have that brown edge or overdone edge around the outside of it, similar to sous vide, right? You just let it sit there lightly tinted and let it rest. It's going to come up another 3 to 5 degrees, which I think is perfect for medium rare, about 132 to 135. Crank up your, whatever. If you have a high heat smoker like a pellet grill, a Fast Eddie's or Yoder or whatever you're using, crank it all the way up to 500, as hot as you can get it. If your smoker won't go hot like that, get your oven going. It's okay because your flavor's already there. Once you get to 500 degrees and it's rested for about 20-30 minutes, you put that in there for 6 to 10 minutes and just to brown the outside. Pull it out. You don't have to let it rest at that point. You've already done it. You can slice right into it. Horseradish, au jus, whatever you want, but just eat it plain. Use your smoker for your prime rib this Christmas, and you will not be disappointed.
And I'm looking at pictures of your finished product here, David, and I have to say, hard to argue with results like this. It looks very moist, and the slices look really good. And as you said, the reason that you're doing this is, as Mita would say, bumper to bumper, same color from top, middle, all the way to the bottom, and it looks absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and you can also see from that picture, I cut into that immediately after it came out of the browning 500-degree oven. And you can see there's very little juice on the cutting board. It's all stayed in the meat because you rested prior to the browning process.
Got it. All right, so we will get Steve and Doug's opinion and perhaps suggestions on prime rib here in a second. I got to make sure that I stay on the clock now at this point. So, guys, hang with me here through this read, and we'll be back with the Embedded Correspondents segment. Also, don't forget Doug Scheiding has his hot take yet to go. Grilling season continues as the cooler weather builds in. In fact, the weather people said that we're so lucky here in Cleveland, we might be able to break out the snow blowers next week. Can't wait for that. Hey, we all know that Butcher's carries a great selection of barbecue products. Matt Bougher was using it to rim his Micheladas. You have a whole bunch of people using his rubs and sauces, his injections. Steve Ray at Midnight Oil has got a whole part of his retail store where he's retailing Butcher barbecue products, so they got to be good. What I like is these grilling oils, okay? I've talked about them for months now. Here's what's different. A lot of people love using that parquet or the squeeze butter. Well, that's got to be refrigerated, number one. Potentially can go bad if you're not taking care of it properly. Both things you don't have to worry about when it comes to grilling oil. A, they're not going to go bad. B, because they're not going to go bad, you don't have to put them in the refrigerator and forget about them. There's nothing worse than that. You've wanted to try a product, you open it up, you see refrigerate after opening, then you put it in the refrigerator, and then it gets knocked back into the refrigerator, never to be seen again until like a month later when you're cleaning it out, and then you're pissed because you just wasted that money. With the grilling oil, it's not going to go rancid, it's not going to go bad. You can just stick it right out there on the countertop, or you can take it out there to the grill, depending on where you live at all year round, and use it. While you're cooking, after cooking, before you're cooking for rub adherence. However you want to use it, it's going to turn out great. Then you have the rubs, of course. The sauces, the injections we've always talked about. The newest flavor of rub out there right now is the Grilling Addictions. There's some salt, there's some pepper, a little back-end heat, which I really like as well. ButcherBBQ.com is the place you want to go to get all that stuff. And dealers want it, as I say each and every week. If you currently own a barbecue or grilling supply store or just a supply store and you don't carry the Butcher Barbecue lineup, what are you waiting for? Hit up ButcherBBQ.com right now and request information on how to become a dealer for them today. Not only will Dave thank you, but your customers will reap the rewards by getting these fine products in their hands for them to try for themselves. These products extensively tested both in the backyard and on the competition trail, so you know they're going to deliver the goods. Head on over to ButcherBBQ.com right now. That's ButcherBBQ.com and try out the products. You'll be happy that you did. Butcher Barbecue, always trust your butcher. Little prime rib talk up, and then Doug's hot take. Stick around. I'll be right back.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content. in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the BBQ Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
I said it before, and I will say it again. Be on the lookout by going to smokinwithsmithfield.com and take advantage of that Committed Cooks program when it gets released. Probably in the next week or so, I would say. Earlier this year, if you joined in, you spent $20. You got over $100 worth of Smithfield stuff and related wear. So if you missed it the first time, you should be able to get in on it this time. I will update you as information is passed to me from Smithfield. All right. Doug, let's go back to you. You heard David Huff's suggestions on how to do prime rib. A, do you like prime rib? And B, if you do, what's your favorite way of doing it?
It's funny that his topic is prime rib this because I actually did one this weekend.
Really?
After I did it on Saturday. Saved it, kind of held it back for the only the people that were still here. Didn't want to waste it on the 26 people I cooked for Thanksgiving.
Yes,
but,
got it.
That's a different story. I like to cut it into multiple pieces because, as David said, I do like to get the extra surface area on the ends. It's like, getting that small piece on the brisket that has all the crust of the bark, and I like to have multiple pieces like that. So I took mine and I cut it up into 3 pieces, and then I don't do the reverse searing. And I know Steve is going to find this shocking that I don't do the reverse searing or the stripes on the steak, but I just like to take it at 325. I think the reverse searing, you lose moisture because as you're tinting and you're waiting for the grill to get up, I think that you're losing some of the moisture out of the meat. So, and I think one of the key things to do is use a rub like a Montreal steak seasoning or something Traeger's prime rib that has big salt chunks in it. I think that's perfect for prime rib.
Steve, your thoughts?
I tell you, Greg, the last one I did was on a pit barrel cooker rather, and I hung it between the two rods, and used a butcher's barbecue steak and brisket rub, and it was fantastic. It's the best tasting meat that there is, in my opinion. It's great. And Dave, what I did, I took the bones off, and I cooked those 2 beef ribs, and they were a big hit too. There wasn't a whole lot of meat on each one, but they were a huge hit too. People were scrounging around trying to get those. So I tell you, if you've got a pit barrel cooker and you can hang that right between the 2 rods, it does a great job on it.
Are you not worried that when you order with the bone that you're paying on weight per pound for stuff you're not going to use?
Well, I used it. I cooked it.
You cooked the bone?
Well, yeah, for beef ribs, the meat sticks to it. A lot of meat does.
Doug, do you go boneless, or do you keep the bone attached in some form or fashion?
Boneless.
All right. David, and you get it. You have them take it off, but then you have them tie it back on.
Well, I've been going to the boneless. As far as the pricing, usually if the bone's included, they discount that on the pricing from what I've seen. But to Steve's point, those dinosaur beef ribs, I would rather just have the butcher cut them that way than, if I'm doing a prime rib, I want as much of that meat off the rib and onto the steak itself and just buy those beef ribs separate. So, but the second best thing, if you can't do a prime rib, those big dinosaur or brontosaurus beef ribs are pretty close second place.
I think we're going to be potentially doing a show on the 26th of December would be our next to get together, so we'll miss Christmas. Do you plan on doing a prime rib, David, for Christmas?
Absolutely. It's not only is it a wow factor, you got to budget up for it, especially if you have a large family, but I will absolutely do it and probably put it in the smoker in the same way I described. It's typically a big hit. And, everyone pretty much in my family likes beef, so no problems there.
Steve, you going to do one for Christmas?
Yeah, we have a get-together every Christmas Eve at the gas station. We call it the He-Man Woman Haters Club, and it's just me and my buddies. We all get together, and I do a prime rib every year. I mean, we'll be doing it again.
Doug, you're going to do another one?
No, I'll be at the Outlaws, and so I won't have any of my smokers. So I don't plan on taking those. So.
Were you going to have a tofu prime rib?
No. I'll probably braise some brisket and do that, and do an infrared type turkey.
All right, Doug, your turn for hot takes. I know Steve talked about World Food Championships, and you're probably going to piggyback a little bit, at least on the topic.
Well, but I think I'm going to go. I'm going to go the opposite way from the standpoint of it was a great production.
Yeah.
A lot of marketing, but the poor on the implementation. I don't plan to go back unless something, markedly changes in my opinion. But to me, it was kind of a one and done type thing. So it's I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, dig into the finer points of what didn't really wet your whistle on. I mean, if you're already saying, hey, one and done, or I'm not going to, usually if you go to a contest and you really like it, or it really, took your socks off, you can't wait to go back the next year and you're already like, did it, I'm out.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun and a lot of work, but the implementation, I mean, I cooked in the state competition on, I think that was on Wednesday, and I read the rules 3 times, and my wife read the rules 3 times, and the gentleman that we were cooking with, actually Paul Shoddy of Head Country, read the rules 3-4 times, and we just didn't have a point of contact to answer questions. And so as we're cooking in Kitchen Stadium and about to turn in the first turn in, we learn of different the rules weren't stated clearly. They were very poorly written, in my opinion, and I think they could, improve a lot in that particular way. But we didn't know we had to have separate dishes for each of the samples. It says to put the food on the platter. It doesn't say to put the plated food on the platter. And so there were just rules that we did not know, and we actually had to borrow some things from other teams, and to go and spend, like, Meathead said, he, on his own nickel, 4 nights of hotel and flight and everything, to do that, and just as a learning experience, I can do that a lot closer to home than do that. So, and I think they fumbled the ball on the barbecue thing, in terms of the IBCA versus the KCBS. The finals wasn't barbecue; it was a chef's open kind of competition, which is, to me, not the main meats of barbecue that, like, Meathead didn't get to judge. So I think they really fumbled the ball on the way barbecue was treated, and because we're always last at awards. If they were to call us first, we in the 2.5-hour award ceremony, which is every night. Luckily, it's held in a very nice place. Orange Beach is great. The Wharf is awesome. And luckily there's outdoor seating at restaurants where you can sit there and drink and have dinner, etc., while you're waiting for 2 hours before the barbecue awards are done.
And are you hearing those awards? Like, are they taking place right in front of you, or you just know you have so much time that you can go somewhere and you'll come back and be okay?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of the nights we were there where we could hear. One of the nights, the award started at 6. We actually went to dinner at a place we couldn't even see. We watched it live on Facebook because we were trained from the previous nights that barbecue would be last, and we had plenty of time to eat. And, so we were there at, 7:30, and we still had plenty of time to have a glass of wine or a beer or whatever. So, and the thing of, the not $10,000 in prizes, and even the top 10, they didn't get the money prizes that if it was supposed to be $500 for the top 10 minimum, but no, it was really mainly prizes that they got. So
there was an expectation that there was going to be all cash, and it was $10,000 or whatever the amount of cash and prizes.
Cash, yeah. So it was cash and prizes, and they didn't get their checks. I talked to one person today that was in the top 10 in barbecue. They didn't get their check yet. how much would Facebook be blowing up if at an event that you go to an event and you don't get your $150, $250, $500 check? Boy, people would be going berserk. So and the people, even if you got called up on stage, I mean, we got called up on stage twice. You get a handshake. I mean, okay, yeah. And I'm not even a trophy guy, but that's a big kind of event. And the other person I talked to today, they felt the same way. I mean, they got a couple of top fives, and they didn't even get anything. The only trophy that was handed out was the one to Fred.
Did you hear similar remarks from other categories, not just barbecue, but sandwich people and burger people, that things seem to be a little fast and loose from a rule situation?
I didn't speak to a lot of the chefs. I watched one in the dessert category. He had the same issue with the rules that we did. Luckily, he was early in his turn in, but he plated his dessert, went and turned it in, and was turned back because he didn't have separate plates for each of his desserts. So then he starts going to the crowd as we're, out there, and he's like, hey, can somebody help me? Can somebody help me? And so my wife actually ran back to Steve's place and got some plates, which he used in the second turn in, and someone else had some plastic plates that he used in the first turn in. But the rules just weren't. It was run, in my opinion, is more of a first or second year event and not a 6th or 7th year event. It is a big production. There's a lot of people, and it has a lot of notoriety, gets the sponsors, etc. But just needed some fine tuning, I'd say.
Steve, you've heard what Doug has to say. Where do you agree and where do you disagree?
I don't know anything about the prize money not being delivered or being delivered or how it was dished out. I guess, award ceremonies are always long when you don't get called. So I'm used to that. That's no problem. Doug didn't know the rules. I knew the rules. I knew the rules going in. We had to turn in our Smithfield, our ancillary contest on plates, and it was written in our packet. And I took plates with me. Everybody I saw in the tent, in the kitchen, in the other contest, they all had plates, except except the dessert guy and Doug. I guess I don't know. Everybody knew what to do that I could see. So I don't know. I didn't have to read that many rules. I just watched on Facebook. I just did a lot of research on Facebook and watched last year's contest to see how they did it. I even had extra plates in case we did make finals in the barbecue. We took them down. We even took down another protein, a quick cook protein, because I knew there was only going to be an hour and a half to cook. So, I knew the rules going in. I did the research, and I was pumped up. I went down with all expectations of making that final table. I would like to see barbecue introduced at the final table for barbecue. I don't see why you can't start everybody 7 hours before the turn-in. What's the difference if they start at 6 in the morning instead of just an hour and a half? I don't understand that, and I'm sure it'll be addressed. If I was Mike McLeod, I would probably next year for barbecue. There was a little consternation at one of the meetings, and rightfully so, I think. And if I would abandon, if it was me, if it was Steve Ray's World Food Championships, I would abandon all Kansas City and IBCA judging. I'd just have my eat guys judge the barbecues and figure out some way to do it. And I think and make it all one category. I don't know why. I don't know the fascination of having us against them, because it wasn't us against them. It was a combined effort. It was just like everybody just pitched in and cooked. I don't know why you have to do that. Just have one big barbecue contest and have the people who are judging the other time use the eat method instead of KCBS method and judge the barbecue.
David, have you been to World Food Championships? David. Hello? No, David?
Sorry, I had it on mute.
Yeah.
My apologies.
There you go.
I have not, I have not, unfortunately. However, if you're going to call yourself the World Food Championships, you need to have your crap together. And, Doug now sounds like it wasn't his favorite event. I believe Greg, one of your guests last week, wasn't necessarily impressed or thrilled about it. I've seen some stuff on the internet. It just doesn't seem like it was very well organized. And 6 years in, is that still in its youth? I mean, is it still growing and working out some growing pains, or at the 6-year mark, should you have your stuff together more than this? I don't know.
All right, parting shots, gents. Whatever you want to plug, where you're going to be at, all this other stuff. By the way, Diane Me in the instant chat room says barbecues always get screwed at the World Food Championship, so that does seem to be kind of a continuing thought here as we talk. Doug, anything to promote on the way out?
Cooking this weekend at a contest cooking for kids, and only 15 minutes away at Green, Texas.
Green,
Gruene.
Oh,
It's just outside of New Braunfels.
Steve, what are you up
to? This weekend, Calhoun, Georgia, the Smoking Up the Campground at the AOK campground there in Calhoun. I want to say that it was great, Doug, meeting you and your wife at the World Food Championships. And Doug and I spent a lot of time together at the Jack Daniels, too, so it was kind of neat. Making new friends and meeting new friends from across the country, that's always a big time. And David, I'm glad you got to keep your coach. You can have him. We've got a bigger thing left. We've got bigger things to pull out of our bag here in Tennessee. You just wait.
Are you talking about Shiano?
yeah.
Oh, you're on the third one. Oh, you're on the third or fourth choice. I got it.
You just wait. There's a small directional college here in Tennessee that we're gonna raid.
David, anything on the way out?
No, I would love to be using the smoker more and going to more competitions, but don't have an 8-year-old that plays soccer if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, I think I kind of know all about that. All right, we have Mr. Oklahoma, David Huff, Mr. Tennessee, Steve Ray, and Mr. Texas, Doug Scheiding. This is the Embedded Correspondents segment that everybody loves so much. Guys, really appreciate the time. Thanks so much for doing it.
Thank you.
There they are. Doug, Dave, and Steve. As I get rid of all of them, there we go. Boom. Easy enough. Hey, let's do this for the second time this evening.
All guests on the BBQ Central Show appear via the Smithfield Hotline. Yeah, man.
All right, well, we're slowly but surely making our way to the bitter end. Here we go. What did I do that for? Folks, if you are looking for a place to go where all of the online barbecue stuff lives, head on over to BigPapaSmokers.com. Known for their championship rubs and seasonings, popular flavors like Sweet Money, Cattle Prod. Man, it's like the first time I ever did the show. Cash Cow, all proven winners on the competition scene and in the backyard. Big Papa offers 13 perfectly balanced flavors that will transform ordinary meals into extraordinary. Looking to improve your flavor of your competition barbecue recipes? Big Papa Smokers has combined forces with fellow rub company Simply Marvelous Barbecue to form what has now become known as the West Coast Offense. Over the past few years, West Coast Offense has dominated the market on competitive barbecue and redefined the flavor profiles that cooks from across the country have begun to aim for. Big Papa is also the proud owner of award-winning Granny's barbecue sauce. Looking for a new go-to barbecue sauce that will please everyone? Granny's traditional yet powerful flavors remind us why we fell in love with barbecue in the first place. Find Granny's barbecue sauce and other top-rated barbecue sauces at BigPapaSmokers.com. Hey, are you looking for a versatile smoker that's easy to use? Check out the Mac 2-Star General Pellet Grill. Big Papa Smokers, the exclusive Mac dealer, and even offers special packages. They were having them all through Thanksgiving and Cyber Monday and Happy Friday and all that good stuff. Not a fan of pellet cookers? All right. Try the Old Hickory Ace BP. It's the only charcoal smoker that Big Papa trusts on his competition barbecue trailer. If you're a backyard guy or gal and you're looking for a durable and versatile grill that lasts forever, the M Grill from Texas is just what you need. They're built like tanks. Not sure what grill you need? You really can't go wrong with any of the grills featured on BigPapaSmokers.com. They have something for every kind of backyard cook. Check out their website today to shop their full selection. Here's the bottom line. It's clear. BigPapaSmokers.com, the place to go for all things barbecue. Every product featured on their website has been hand-selected to help you barbecue better. Boost your barbecue skills with the help of Big Papa Smokers, the #1 online barbecue store. You can call them at 877-828-0727. That's 877-828-0727, or shop their website at BigPapaSmokers.com. That's BigPapaSmokers.com. Almost. Oh, I missed
the
it.
host of the BBQ Central radio show.
Just hold on. Anyway, BigPapaSmokers.com. That's BigPapaSmokers.com. We are back to wrap the show right after this hangout.
Whole packers, full racks, legs and thighs, injecting butts. If you've never heard this before, you might think you found the best XXX show ever. Let's get back to the most homoerotic host out there today, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. Thanks again to Steve, David, and Doug for joining me last segment and the segment before that, doing the Embedded Texas, or the Embedded Correspondents segment all the way back in the first hour. We kinda had Max Good via the phone. Literally, you can see it. I had the cell phone up to the microphone. That's why he sounded like that. And we got through some beer talk with Matt Bougher, and then, as I just said, the Embedded Correspondents segment. If you missed the show, you can go ahead and subscribe on iTunes, Google Music, Google Play Music, or whatever they call it. Any podcast directory will have the show, so subscribe and always get it. Replay will be up in about 55 minutes from now, and then you can enjoy it all the way through the week and months to come. Big show planned for next week, of course. September 11th, 2001. I will never forget. And until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, this is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.